The People of the State of California v. Orenthal James Simpson was a criminal trial in Los Angeles County Superior Court in which former National Football League player, broadcaster, and actor O.J. Simpson was tried and acquitted for the murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman. The pair were stabbed to death outside Brown's condominium in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles on the night of June 12, 1994. The trial spanned 11 months, from the jury's swearing-in on November 9, 1994. Opening statements were made on January 24, 1995, and Simpson was acquitted of both counts of murder on October 3 of the same year, despite overwhelming forensic evidence against him. The trial came shortly after the 1992 Los Angeles riots, and it is agreed that, controversially, the defense capitalized on the anger among the city's African American community towards police to convince the majority black jury to acquit Simpson. The trial is often characterized as the trial of the century because of its international publicity, and has been described as the most publicized criminal trial in human history. Following perfunctory questioning by police detectives, Simpson was formally charged with the murders on June 17 after investigators found a blood-stained glove on his property. After he did not turn himself in at the agreed time, he became the object of a low-speed pursuit in a white 1993 Ford Bronco SUV owned and driven by his friend Al Cowlings. TV stations interrupted coverage of the 1994 NBA Finals to broadcast live coverage of the pursuit, which was watched by an estimated 95 million people. The pursuit and Simpson's arrest later on the same day were among the most widely publicized events in American history. Simpson was represented by a high-profile defense team, referred to as the Dream Team, which was initially led by Robert Shapiro and subsequently directed by Johnny Cochran. The team also included F. Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz, Robert Kardashian, Sean Hawley, Carl Lee Douglas, and Gerald Ullman. Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld were two additional attorneys who specialized in DNA evidence. While Deputy District Attorneys Marcia Clark, William Hodgman, and Christopher Darden believed they had a strong case against Simpson, Cochran was able to convince the jury that there was reasonable doubt concerning the DNA evidence in this case, which was a relatively new form of evidence in trials at that time. The reasonable doubt theory included evidence that the blood sample had allegedly been mishandled by lab scientists and technicians, and there were questionable circumstances that surrounded other court exhibits. Cochran and the defense team also alleged other misconduct by the LAPD related to racism and incompetence, in particular actions and comments of Detective Mark Furman. The trial became historically significant because of the reaction to the verdict. Although the nation observed the same evidence presented at trial, a division along racial lines emerged in observers' opinions of the verdict, which the media dubbed the racial gap. A poll of Los Angeles County residents showed that most African Americans thought that justice had been served by the not guilty verdict, while the majority of whites thought it was a racially motivated jury nullification by a mostly African American jury. More recent polling shows the gap has narrowed since the trial, with over half of polled black respondents in 2013 stating they believed Simpson was guilty. After the trial, Goldman's father filed a civil suit against Simpson. On February 4, 1997, the jury unanimously found Simpson responsible for the deaths of both Goldman and Brown. The Goldman family was awarded compensatory and punitive damages totaling $33.5 million, but have received only a small portion of that monetary figure. In 2000, Simpson left California for Florida, one of the few states where personal assets such as homes and pensions cannot be seized to cover liabilities that were incurred in other states. Early life. Born and raised in San Francisco, California, Simpson is a son of Eunice, a hospital administrator, and Jimmy Lee Simpson, a chef and bank custodian. His father was a well-known drag queen in the San Francisco Bay Area. Later in life, Jimmy Simpson announced that he was gay and died of AIDS in 1986. Simpson's maternal grandparents were from Louisiana, and his aunt gave him the name Orenthal, which she said was the name of a French actor she liked. He was called OJ from birth and did not know that Orenthal was his given name until a teacher read it in 3rd grade. Simpson has one brother, Melvin Leon Truman Simpson, one living sister, Shirley Simpson Baker, and one deceased sister, Carmelita Simpson Durio. As a child, Simpson developed rickets and wore braces on his legs until the age of 5, giving him his bow-legged stance. His parents separated in 1952, and Simpson was raised by his mother. Simpson grew up in San Francisco and lived with his family in the housing projects of the Potrero Hill neighborhood. In his early teenage years, he joined a street gang called the Persian Warriors and was briefly incarcerated at the San Francisco Youth Guidance Center. Future wife Marguerite, his childhood sweetheart, described Simpson as really an awful person. Then, after his 3rd arrest, a meeting with Willie Mays during which the baseball star encouraged Simpson to avoid trouble helped persuade him to reform. At Galileo High School in San Francisco, Simpson played for the school football team, the Galileo Lions. He graduated in 1965. College football and athletics career. Although Simpson was an all-city football player at Galileo, his mediocre high school grades prevented him from attracting the interest of many college recruiters. After a childhood friend's injury in the Vietnam War influenced Simpson to stay out of the military, he enrolled at City College of San Francisco in 1965. He played football both ways as a running back and defensive back and was named to the Junior College All-American team as a running back. City College won the Prune Bowl against Long Beach State, and many colleges sought Simpson as a transfer student for football. Simpson chose to attend the University of Southern California, which he had admired as a young football fan, over the University of Utah and played running back for head coach John McKay in 1967 and 1968. Simpson led the nation in rushing both years under McKay, in 1967 with 1,543 yards and 13 touchdowns, and in 1968 with 1,880 yards on 383 carries. As a junior in 1967, Simpson was a close runner-up in the Heisman Trophy balloting to quarterback Gary Beban of UCLA. In that year's Victory Bell rivalry game between the teams, USC was down by 6 points in the 4th quarter with under 11 minutes remaining. On their own 36, USC backup quarterback Toby Page called an audible on 3rd and 7. Simpson's 64-yard touchdown run tied the score, and the extra point provided a 21-20 lead, which was the final score. This was the biggest play in what is regarded as one of the greatest football games of the 20th century. Another dramatic touchdown in the same game is the subject of the Arnold Friberg oil painting, O.J. Simpson Breaks for Daylight. Simpson also won the Walter Camp Award in 1967 and was a 2-time Consensus All-American. Simpson was an aspiring track athlete. In 1967, he lost a 100m race at Stanford against the then British record holder Menzies Campbell. Prior to playing football at Southern Cal, he ran in the USC Sprint Relay Quartet that broke the world record in the 4x110-yard relay at the NCAA Track Championships in Provo, Utah on June 17, 1967. As a senior in 1968, Simpson rushed for 1,709 yards and 22 touchdowns in the regular season, earning the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, and Walter Camp Award. He held the record for the Heisman's largest margin of victory for 51 years, defeating runner-up Leroy Keys by 1,750 points. In the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, number 2 USC faced top-ranked Ohio State. Simpson ran for 171 yards, including an 80-yard touchdown run in a 27-16 loss. Statistics. Professional football career. Buffalo Bills. The first selection 1969 AFL-NFL Common Draft was held by the AFL's Buffalo Bills, after finishing 112-1 in 1968. They took Simpson, but he demanded what was then the largest contract in professional sports history, $650,000 over 5 years. This led to a standoff with Bills owner Ralph Wilson, as Simpson threatened to become an actor and skip professional football. Eventually, Wilson agreed to pay Simpson. Simpson entered professional football with high expectations, but struggled in his first 3 years, averaging only 622 yards per season. Bills coach John Rock, not wanting to build an offense around one running back, assigned Simpson to do blocking and receiving duties at the expense of running the ball. In 1971, Rock resigned as head coach and the Bills brought in Harvey Johnson. Despite Johnson devising a new offense for Simpson, Simpson was still ineffective that year. After the 1971 season, the Bills fired Johnson and brought in Lou Saban as head coach. Unlike Rock, Saban made Simpson the centerpiece of the Bills' offense. In 1972, Simpson rushed for over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career, gaining a league-leading total of 1,251 yards. In 1973, Simpson became the first player to break the highly coveted 2,000-yard rushing mark, with 2,003 total rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. Simpson broke the mark during the last game of the season against the New York Jets with a 7-yard rush. That same game also saw Simpson break Jim Brown's single-season rushing record of 1,863 yards. For his performance, Simpson won that year's NFL MVP award and Bert Bell Award. While other players have broken the 2,000-yard mark since Simpson, his record was established in a time when the NFL had only 14 games per season, as opposed to the 16-game seasons that began in 1978. Simpson still holds the rushing record for 14 games. Simpson gained more than 1,000 rushing yards for each of his next 3 seasons. He did not lead the league in rushing in 1974, but did cross the 1,000-yard barrier despite a knee injury. In Game 11 of 1974, he passed Ken Willard as the rushing leader among active players, a position he maintained until his retirement more than 5 seasons later. Simpson also made his first and only playoff appearance during the 1974 season. In a divisional game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Simpson rushed for 49 yards on 15 attempts and caught a touchdown pass, but the Bills lost the game 32-14. Simpson won the rushing title again in 1975, rushing for 1,817 yards and 16 touchdowns. He also had a career-high 426 receiving yards and 7 receiving touchdowns that season. Simpson once again led the league in rushing in 1976, rushing for 1,503 yards and 8 touchdowns. He had the best game of his career during that season's Thanksgiving game against the Detroit Lions on November 25. In that game, Simpson rushed for a then-record 273 yards on 29 attempts and scored 2 touchdowns. Despite Simpson's performance, the Bills would lose the game 27-14. A lowlight that season came during a game against the Patriots a few weeks earlier when defensive end Mel Lunsford and several other Patriots defenders stuffed the superstar running back for no gain, but as Simpson tried to continue driving forward, Lunsford body slammed him to the ground. Simpson got up and punched Lunsford, which prompted Lunsford to swing back. Bills offensive lineman Reggie McKenzie then jumped on Lunsford's back, but Lunsford bent down and flung McKenzie over his head and went back to swinging at Simpson before a melee of the two teams stopped the fight and ended up in a pile on the field. Lunsford and Simpson were both ejected from the game as the Patriots' solid defense persisted, with New England going on to win 2010 on their way to finishing the 1976 season 11-3. The Bills finished 2-12. Simpson played in only 7 games in 1977, as his season was cut short by injury. San Francisco 49 ERS. Before the 1978 season, the Bills traded Simpson to his hometown San Francisco 49 ERS for a series of draft picks. Simpson played in San Francisco for 2 seasons, rushing for 1,053 yards and 4 touchdowns. His final NFL game was on December 16, 1979, a 31-21 loss to the Atlanta Falcons at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. His final play was a 10-yard run on 3rd and 10 for a first down. Career summary. Simpson gained 11,236 rushing yards, placing him second on the NFL's all-time rushing list when he retired. He now stands at 21st. He was named NFL Player of the Year in 1973, and played in 6 Pro Bowls. He was the only player in NFL history to rush for over 2,000 yards in a 14-game season, and he is the only player to rush for over 200 yards in 6 different games in his career. From 1972 to 1976, Simpson averaged 1,540 rushing yards per season, 5.1 yards per carry, and he won the NFL rushing title 4 times. Simpson was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985, his first year of eligibility. In 2019, he was named to the National Football League 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. Simpson played in only 1 playoff game during his 11-season Hall of Fame career, a 1974 divisional round game between the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Simpson was held to 49 rushing yards on 15 carries to go with 3 receptions for 37 yards and a touchdown as the Bills lost 32-14. Simpson acquired the nickname Juice as a play on O.J., a common abbreviation for orange juice. Juice is also a colloquial synonym for electricity or electrical power, and hence a metaphor for any powerful entity. The Bills' offensive line at Simpson's peak was nicknamed the Electric Company. NFL career statistics. Regular season. NFL records. Fastest player to gain 1,000 rushing yards in season, 1,025 in 7 games in 1973 and 1,005 in 7 games in 1975. Fastest player to gain 2,000 rushing yards in season, 2,003 in 14 games in 1973. Most rushing yards per game in a season, 143.1 per game in 1973. Acting career. Simpson began acting while at USC and appeared on Dragnet in an uncredited role as a potential recruit to the LAPD. He became a professional actor before playing professional football, appearing in the first episode of Medical Center while negotiating his contract with the Bills. While in the NFL, Simpson appeared in productions such as the television miniseries Roots, and the dramatic motion pictures The Klansman, The Towering Inferno, The Cassandra Crossing, and Capricorn 1. In 1979, he started his own film production company, Orenthal Productions, which dealt mostly in made-for-TV fare such as the family-oriented Goldie and the Boxer films with Melissa Michelson, and Cocaine and Blue Eyes, a television movie broadcast by NBC. Simpson said that he did not seriously consider an acting career until seeing Lee Marvin and Richard Burton, while filming The Klansman in Oroville, California, ordering chili from Chasen's via private jet. He said in 1980 that the Oscar or the Emmy says you've reached a level of competence in this business, and I would love to have one. Simpson avoided starring in blaxploitation films, choosing third or fourth lead roles while studying experienced stars like Marvin and Burton. The Hertz commercials from 1975 benefited Simpson's acting career, but he sometimes intentionally chose non-positive roles. I've got to tear down that picture of O.J. Simpson, the clean-cut athlete, to get believability into whatever part I happen to be playing. Simpson also starred in the comedic Back to the Beach and the Naked Gun trilogy. According to Arnold Schwarzenegger, Simpson was considered by director James Cameron to play the eponymous character in The Terminator when Schwarzenegger was cast as Kyle Reese, but Cameron ultimately cast Schwarzenegger as the Terminator while Simpson had no involvement in the film. Besides his acting career, Simpson worked as a commentator for Monday Night Football and the NFL on NBC. He also appeared in the audience of Saturday Night Live during its second season and hosted an episode during its third season. I Frogman/I. None. I Juiced/I. None. Filmography. Endorsements. Go, OJ, go. As a child, Simpson earned money by scalping tickets and collecting seat cushions at Kezar Stadium. In high school, he organized dances, hiring a band and ballroom and charging admission. Chuck Barnes helped Simpson form business relationships with Chevrolet and ABC early in his football career. By 1971, New York wrote that Simpson was already wealthy enough to retire this week if wanted to. In 1975, People magazine described Simpson as the first black athlete to become a bona fide lovable media superstar. He used his amiable persona, good looks, and charisma in many endorsement deals. Beginning in 1975, he appeared in advertisements with the Hertz rental car company. Commercials depicted Simpson running through airports embodying speed, as others shouted to him the Hertz slogan "Go, OJ, go." Besides helping his acting career, Simpson estimated that the very successful Superstar in Rent-A-Car campaign raised the recognition rate among people he met from 30% to 90%. Hertz's annual profit increased by 50% to $42.2 million within the first year, brand awareness increased by more than 40%, and 97% of viewers understood that the commercials advertised Hertz, avoiding the common vampire video problem. Simpson was so important to the company that CEO Frank Olson personally negotiated his contract, and Hertz used him for an unusually long time for a celebrity endorser. Advertising Age in 1977 named Simpson the magazine's Star Presenter of the Year. By 1984, consumer research found that he was the most popular athlete endorser, and a 1990s MCI Communications commercial starring Eunice Simpson satirized her son's work. Although Simpson appeared less often in Hertz commercials by the late 1980s, his relationship with the company continued. Simpson was to travel to Chicago to meet with Hertz executives and clients on the night of the Brown-Goldman murder. Other products Simpson endorsed included Pioneer Chicken, Honey Baked Ham, Calistoga Water Company's line of Napa Naturals soft drinks, and Dingo cowboy boots. As president and CEO of O.J. Simpson Enterprises, he owned hotels and restaurants. When Simpson and Brown divorced in 1992, he had $10 million in assets and more than $1 million in annual income, including $550,000 from Hertz. During the June 1994 police chase, spectators shouted the "Go, OJ, go" slogan at Simpson as he rode in a white Bronco owned by Hertz. Family life. On June 24, 1967, at age 19, Simpson married Marguerite L. Whitley. Together, they had 3 children, Arnell L. Simpson, Jason Lamar Simpson, and Aaron Lashoni Simpson. In August 1979, Aaron drowned in the family's swimming pool. Simpson met Nicole Brown in 1977 while she was working as a waitress at a nightclub called the Daisy. Although still married to his first wife, Simpson began dating Brown. Simpson and Marguerite divorced in March 1979. 126-28 Brown and Simpson were married on February 2, 1985, 5 years after his retirement from professional football. The couple had 2 children, Sidney Brooke Simpson and Justin Ryan Simpson. The marriage lasted 7 years, during which Simpson pleaded no contest to spousal abuse in 1989. Brown filed for divorce on February 25, 1992, citing irreconcilable differences, 136 in 1993. After the divorce, Brown and Simpson made an attempt at reconciliation, but according to Sheila Weller they were a dramatic, fractious, mutually obsessed couple before they married, after they married, after they divorced in 1992, and after they reconciled. Legal history: Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman murders and trials. Criminal trial for murder. Wrongful death civil trial. Other legal troubles. In 2007, the state of California claimed that Simpson owed $1.44 million in back taxes. A tax lien was filed in his case on September 1, 1999. In the late 1990s, Simpson attempted to register O.J. Simpson, O.J., and the juice as trademarks for a broad range of goods, including figurines, trading cards, sportswear, medallions, coins, and prepaid telephone cards. A concerned citizen, William B. Ritchie, sued to oppose the granting of federal registration on the grounds that doing so would be immoral and scandalous. Simpson gave up the effort in 2000 and left California that year for Florida, settling in Miami. Florida is one of few states where pensions and/or residences cannot generally be seized to collect debts. In February 2001, Simpson was arrested in Miami-Dade County, Florida, for simple battery and burglary of an occupied conveyance, for yanking the glasses off another motorist during a traffic dispute 3 months earlier. If convicted, Simpson could have faced up to 16 years in prison, but he was tried and quickly acquitted of both charges in October 2001. On December 4, 2001, Simpson's Miami home was searched by the FBI on suspicion of ecstasy possession and money laundering. The FBI had received a tip that Simpson was involved in a major drug trafficking ring after 10 other suspects were arrested in the case. Simpson's home was thoroughly searched for 2 hours, but no illegal drugs were discovered, and no arrest or formal charges were filed following the search. However, investigators uncovered equipment capable of stealing satellite television programming, which eventually led to Simpson being sued in federal court. On July 4, 2002, Simpson was arrested in Miami-Dade County, Florida, for water speeding through a manatee protection zone and failing to comply with proper boating regulations. The misdemeanor boating regulation charge was dropped, and Simpson was fined for the speeding infraction. In March 2004, satellite television network DirecTV, Inc. accused Simpson in a Miami federal court of using illegal electronic devices to pirate its broadcast signals. The company later won a $25,000 judgment, and Simpson was ordered to pay an additional $33,678 in attorney's fees and costs. Las Vegas robbery. On the night of September 13, 2007, a group of men led by Simpson entered a room at the Palace Station Hotel Casino and took sports memorabilia at gunpoint, which resulted in Simpson being questioned by police. Simpson admitted to taking the items, which he said had been stolen from him, but denied breaking into the hotel room. He also denied that he or anyone else carried a gun. He was released after questioning. 2 days later, Simpson was arrested and initially held without bail. Along with 3 other men, Simpson was charged with multiple felony counts, including criminal conspiracy, kidnapping, assault, robbery, and using a deadly weapon. Bail was set at $125,000, with stipulations that Simpson have no contact with the CO defendants and that he surrender his passport. Simpson did not enter a plea. By the end of October 2007, all 3 of Simpson's CO defendants had plea bargained with the prosecution in the Clark County, Nevada, court case. Walter Alexander and Charles H. Cashmore accepted plea agreements in exchange for reduced charges, and their testimony against Simpson and 3 other CO defendants, including testimony that guns were used in the robbery. CO defendant Michael McClinton told a Las Vegas judge that he too would plead guilty to reduced charges and testify against Simpson that guns were used in the robbery. After the hearings, the judge ordered that Simpson be tried for the robbery. On November 8, 2007, Simpson had a preliminary hearing to decide whether he would be tried for the charges. He was held over for trial on all 12 counts. Simpson pleaded not guilty on November 29, with an initial setting for trial on April 7, 2008, although it was soon set for September 8 to give the defense more time for their case. In January 2008, Simpson was taken into custody in Florida and was extradited to Las Vegas, where he was incarcerated at the Clark County Jail for violating the terms of his bail by attempting to contact Clarence C.J. Stewart, a CO defendant in the trial. District Attorney David Roger of Clark County provided District Court Judge Jackie Glass with evidence that Simpson had violated his bail terms. A hearing took place on January 16, 2008. Glass raised Simpson's bail to $250,000 and ordered that he remain in county jail until 15% was paid in cash. Simpson posted bond that evening and returned to Miami the next day. Simpson and his CO defendant were found guilty of all charges on October 3, 2008. On October 10, 2008, Simpson's counsel moved for a new trial on grounds of judicial errors and insufficient evidence. Simpson's attorney announced he would appeal to the Nevada Supreme Court if Judge Glass denied the motion. The attorney for Simpson's CO defendant, C.J. Stewart, petitioned for a new trial, alleging Stewart should have been tried separately and cited possible misconduct by the jury foreman. Simpson faced a possible life sentence with parole on the kidnapping charge, and mandatory prison time for armed robbery. On December 5, 2008, Simpson was sentenced to a total of 33 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 9 years, in 2017. On September 4, 2009, the Nevada Supreme Court denied a request for bail during Simpson's appeal. In October 2010, the Nevada Supreme Court affirmed his convictions. He served his sentence at the Lovelock Correctional Center where his inmate ID number was number 1027820. A Nevada judge agreed on October 19, 2012, to reopen the armed robbery and kidnapping case against O.J. Simpson to determine if the former football star was so badly represented by his lawyers that he should be freed from prison and get another trial. A hearing was held beginning May 13, 2013, to determine if Simpson was entitled to a new trial. On November 27, 2013, Judge Linda Bell denied Simpson's bid for a new trial on the robbery conviction. In her ruling, Bell wrote that all Simpson's contentions lacked merit. Release from prison. On July 31, 2013, the Nevada Parole Board granted Simpson parole on some convictions, but his imprisonment continued based on the weapons and assault convictions. The board considered Simpson's prior record of criminal convictions and good behavior in prison in coming to the decision. At his parole hearing on July 20, 2017, the board decided to grant Simpson parole, with certain parole conditions such as travel restrictions, non-contact with CO defendants from the robbery, and not drinking excessively. He was released on October 1, 2017, having served almost 9 years. On December 14, 2021, Simpson was released from parole early for good behavior, releasing him from the previous conditions of his release and effectively making him a completely free man. In popular culture. Books. Pablo Fenjaves Ghost wrote the 2007 book If I Did It based on interviews with Simpson. The book was published by Beaufort Books, a New York City publishing house owned by parent company Campman and Company/Midpoint Trade Books. All rights and proceeds from the book were awarded to the family of murder victim Ron Goldman. Films. In Fox Network's TV movie, The O.J. Simpson story. Simpson is portrayed as a youth by Bumper Robinson and as an adult by Bobby Hosea. His close friend Al Cowlings is portrayed as a youth by Terrence Howard and as an adult by David Roberson. BBC TV's documentary, O.J. Simpson, The Untold Story, produced by Malcolm Brinkworth, reveals that clues that some believe pointed away from Simpson as the killer were dismissed or ignored and highlights two other leads which could shed new light on the case. The Investigation Discovery TV movie documentary, O.J. Trial of the Century, begins on the day of the murders, ends on the reading of the verdict, and comprises actual media footage of events and reactions, as they unfolded. Also an Investigation Discovery TV documentary is O.J. Simpson Trial, The Real Story, which entirely comprises archival news footage of the murder case, the Bronco chase, the trial, the verdict, and reactions. In 2018, it was announced Boris Kodjoe would portray Simpson in the film Nicole and O.J. Television. In CBS's TV movie American Tragedy, Simpson is played by Raymond Forkian. The documentary miniseries, O.J., Made in America, directed by Ezra Edelman and produced by Lalo Films, is an American 5-part, 7+1 2-hour film that previewed at the Tribeca and Sundance Film Festivals, and aired as part of the 30 for 30 series airing on the ABC and ESPN sister networks. This film adds rich contextual layers to the case, including a dive into the history of Los Angeles race relations that played such a central role in his acquittal. As James Pony Wozik observed in his June 20, 2016, New York Times review, the director Ezra Edelman pulls back, way back, like a news chopper over a freeway chase. Before you hear about the trial, the documentary says, you need to hear all the stories of race, celebrity, sports, America that it's a part of. The film won the 2017 Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature. In FX's cable TV miniseries The People v. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, based on Jeffrey Toobin's book The Run of His Life, The People v. O.J. Simpson, Simpson is portrayed by Cuba Gooding Jr. In NBC's miniseries Law and Order, True Crime, The Menendez Murders, O.J. Simpson is shown to be jailed beside Eric Menendez's cell, and the two shared several conversations throughout Episode 7. In Episode 8, actual news footage of Simpson's verdict appeared on the television, with Simpson himself appearing on a newspaper. In January 2020, Court TV premiered OJ25, a 25-part series documenting each week of the trial and hosted by former Los Angeles prosecutor and legal analyst Roger Cossack.